This week on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon, Drew Barrymore shared her story that she called a Halloween miracle. And at first glance, I thought it was a bit trivial, but it did make me think about a significant biblical principle that is becoming rare in humanity. If you're new to the Actual Faith channel, I am Jeremy, and I hope that you'll subscribe to this channel and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy it. This channel is committed to strengthening the faith of Christians through a biblical worldview. Now let's talk about Drew's Halloween miracle. So Drew Barrymore took her daughter Olive, who was 9 years old, to the pumpkin patch. Olive picked out a massive pumpkin she really wanted, but they couldn't carry it. So Drew turned it into a teachable moment, reminding her you have to make your peace with it. In other words, love and let it go. And so she did. The seeming miracle was when they were met by a gentleman with a wheelbarrow at the checkout counter with that pumpkin. He bought it for them and wanted nothing in return. Barrymore was just stunned by his generosity. However, Drew wanted this to be a life lesson for Olive, but she didn't expect what she saw. She didn't really know how to respond. The act of kindness brought tears to both Drew and Olive's eyes. They brought the pumpkin home and reflected on this man's affectionate heart. This is the part of the story that intrigued me. The man appeared to be a believer in Christ. Drew went on to say that the friendly man had a beautiful Jesus around his neck, and she sort of had a religious moment as well, whatever that means. Now let me be clear. Just because someone has a necklace, a picture, or a bumper sticker with Jesus or a cross on it doesn't mean that they are a Christian. However, I am grateful when others are provoked to think about God and eternity when they see these things. Now here's the lesson. Kindness should be the norm in our daily interactions, not sporadic, unusual, or the exception. One does not need to be a Christian to be kind, but Christians should shine in these moments. They have good reason to be gracious, loving, and kind. This behavior was modeled by Jesus throughout his ministry. He taught his followers, "By this shall all men know that ye are my disciples, if ye have love one to another." You probably remember the parable of the Good Samaritan. A teacher of the Mosaic law stood before Jesus and challenged his teaching to love thy neighbor as thyself in Luke 10. The Pharisee replied arrogantly, "And who is my neighbor?" Then Jesus told of a certain man who traveled from Jerusalem to Jericho and was robbed, beaten, stripped of his clothing, and left for dead. A priest saw him and passed by. A Levite saw him and passed by. Neither one of them helped, but an unlikely person passed by, a Samaritan. You see, the Samaritans were the outcast of the Jewish society. The most unlikely person the Jews thought would have compassion upon them would be a Samaritan. However, this Samaritan saw this traveler who was nearly dead and showed extraordinary kindness. It's recorded that the Lord said, "But a certain Samaritan, as he journeyed, came where he was, and when he saw him, he had compassion on him, and went to him, and bound up his wounds, pouring in oil and wine, and set him on his own beast, and brought him to an inn, and took care of him." The Good Samaritan showed kindness to a stranger. The Samaritan cared for his wounds and paid for his lodging. And this was the example of neighborly love that the lawyer misunderstood, along with the other leaders entrusted with the oracles of God, the Levites and the priests. I am convinced many Christians still today do not understand this critical biblical principle of kindness. The kindness that Jesus taught was emphasized by his followers to the church. It was not a unique quality reserved for the Son of God. It is a fruit of the Spirit and a description of charity. The Apostle John said, "Beloved, if God so loved us, we ought also to love one another." The Apostle Paul exhorted, "Be kindly affectioned one to another with brotherly love, in honor, preferring one another. Would others characterize you as a kind person? Kindness is a disposition of our soul, not merely a random act to impress other people or to feel good about ourselves. Be intentional with your interactions. Every one is an opportunity to be as the Good Samaritan, to show kindness. Now, if you're wondering if there is proof that miracles happen, check out this live stream I did with Elijah Stevens. And remember that actual faith is trusting and believing the unknown because of the known.